Hello and welcome to this lesson from the Oak National Academy. Today's lesson is about aerobic cellular respiration in humans and other organisms, including ATP. It is taken from the unit Aerobic and Anaerobic Cellular Respiration. Hiya, I'm Mrs. Wheat and I'm going to be your teacher for today's lesson. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to describe the reactants and products of aerobic cellular respiration and explain where, why, and when it takes place. Let's have a look at our keywords. We've got 5 keywords for today's lesson, and I'm going to read them all through now. But if you want some more time after I've read them through, I'll be quiet for 5 seconds so you can read them through them again, or you can pause the video. That will give you enough time to read them through a couple of times or to write them down. So here are our keywords. Cellular respiration, an exothermic chemical process that transfers energy for life processes using glucose as a fuel. Exothermic, a chemical process that transfers energy to its surroundings. Aerobic, a process that requires oxygen. ATP, a substance used as a chemical store of energy in cells. And mitochondria, subcellular structures involved in aerobic cellular respiration. So, I'll be quiet for 5 seconds if you want to read those through again, or if you want even longer, you can pause the video to give yourself enough chance to read them through a couple of times or to write them down. Today's lesson is in 2 parts. First of all, we'll talk about cellular respiration generally, and then we'll talk about a specific type of cellular respiration called aerobic cellular respiration. But first, cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is a chemical process that uses glucose as a fuel to transfer energy for life processes. That's quite a long sentence and it's got a lot of abstract ideas in it. We're going to spend the first part of today's lesson looking at a different part of that sentence, and that will help us in our understanding of what cellular respiration is. So we'll start by talking about glucose. So a chemical process that uses glucose as a fuel. What is glucose? So glucose is a sugar. Now plants and other producers make this sugar glucose by photosynthesis. Here in my picture, I've got some plant leaves because that's where photosynthesis takes place in plants. So plants use cellular respiration to transfer energy for life processes, but they get their glucose from photosynthesizing. Humans and other consumers, we don't photosynthesize. We digest carbohydrates, like this pasta, and sugary foods, like these sweets, and that releases the glucose that we need in order to carry out cellular respiration. Okay, let's see if you understood that. Which statements about cellular respiration are correct? A, it is a process that creates energy for cells. B, cells use glucose as a fuel in cellular respiration. C, it takes in energy from the surroundings. D, it transfers energy for life processes. Take 5 seconds, or if you want some more thinking time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, let's look at the correct answers. The correct answers are B, cells use glucose as a fuel in cellular respiration. D is also correct. Cellular respiration transfers energy for life processes. So A is incorrect. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It's transferred from one energy store, such as a chemical energy store, to another, such as a kinetic energy store. C, it takes in energy from the surroundings. That's also incorrect, and we'll talk about why that's incorrect in a few slides' time. Well done if you got those right. Cellular respiration transfers the energy that is needed for life processes. Life processes are the things that happen inside organisms that need to happen in order for that organism to stay alive. So life processes that require energy include muscle contraction, active transport of substances through cell membranes. An example of that is plants use active transport to move minerals in the soil, which are at a low concentration. So it uses active transport to move those minerals into the root where there might be a higher concentration of minerals. And another example of a life process that requires energy is metabolism. So here in my picture, I've got an enzyme and a substrate. So the substrates are going into the enzyme's active site and they are coming out as one product. So that's an example of making a substance. Maybe those 2 substrates are amino acids and they're being joined together and eventually they'll be joined together to make a protein. So those are just 3 examples of life processes that require energy from cellular respiration to take place. So respiration takes place continuously in every living organism. That's because all these life processes, these things that need to happen for organisms to stay alive, are happening continuously, so you need a continuous supply of energy, and respiration is what is transferring the energy for those things to happen. So if a cell stops respiring, it will eventually die, because none of these life processes that require energy will be able to take place. Okay, let's see if you understood that. True or false? Living organisms can survive without respiring. Is that true or false? Take 5 seconds or pause the video, click play when you're ready to see the answer. That is false. Okay, why is it false? Again, take 5 seconds to think about why it might be false, or pause the video if you want some more thinking time. Click play when you're ready to see the answer. It is false because cellular respiration is an essential life process that continuously transfers the energy that organisms need to stay alive. If living organisms don't respire, they die. Well done if you got that right. Cellular respiration is an exothermic chemical process. Now, chemical process, what I mean by that is that it's lots and lots and lots of chemical reactions. Let's talk about the exothermic part of that. So exothermic chemical reactions are reactions that transfer energy to the surroundings. So animals, such as mammals and birds, use this energy that's transferred to surroundings to maintain a constant internal body temperature. So human beings, our internal body temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius, and that is maintained by our cells respiring. And it's important that our body temperature stay consistent, stay at 37 degrees wherever possible, so that our enzymes can function at their optimum. Okay, let's see if you understood that. True or false? Cellular respiration is an exothermic process. Is that true or false? Take 5 seconds, or if you want more thinking time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. It is true. Why is it true? Can you explain why cellular respiration is an exothermic process? What does that word exothermic mean? Take 5 seconds, or if you want some more time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. It is true because cellular respiration transfers energy to the surrounding environment, and those kinds of chemical processes or chemical reactions, we refer to those as exothermic. Well done if you got that right. This is the first practice task of today's lesson, so we're going to have a think about everything we've learned and apply that to this task. Sam has written some notes about cellular respiration, but there are some mistakes. Every bullet point contains one mistake. Identify the mistake and rewrite Sam's notes. So here are Sam's notes. Cellular respiration is a chemical process that takes place in some living organisms. It is an endothermic process, which means it transfers energy to the surroundings. Cells need to carry out respiration during the daytime. In cellular respiration, water is used as a fuel. This creates energy for life processes to occur. Okay, so every single one of those bullet points has one mistake in it. Try and identify the mistakes and then rewrite the notes correctly. You'll need to pause the video now to give yourself enough time to do that. Click play when you're ready to see the answers. Good luck. Let's have a look at the answers. Cellular respiration is a chemical process that takes place in all living organisms, not some living organisms. It's an essential life process, happens in all living organisms, bacteria, elephants, fungi, all of them. It is an exothermic process, which means it transfers energy to the surroundings. Cells need to carry out respiration continuously, all the time, not just during the daytime, not just during the nighttime, constantly. In cellular respiration, glucose, the sugar glucose, is used as a fuel, not water. This creates energy. We've talked about that before. Energy can't be created or destroyed. This transfers energy for life processes to occur. Okay, well done if you got those right. We've completed the first part of today's lesson. We've defined cellular respiration and we've looked at that definition in a lot of detail. Now we're going to talk about a specific type of cellular respiration, aerobic cellular respiration. There are two main types of cellular respiration, aerobic and anaerobic. We're just going to talk about aerobic right now. Aerobic cellular respiration is a type of cellular respiration that takes place using oxygen. If we look at that phrase, the aerobic part of the phrase, that means requires oxygen. Hopefully that will help you remember. So cellular respiration is not just one chemical reaction. You might remember I've been calling it a chemical process. And what I mean by that is it's a series of chemical reactions that happen inside cells. So it's not a chemical reaction, it's not just one chemical reaction rather, but it is still useful to summarise the reactants and products of aerobic cellular respiration. So usually when we use equations, it's just talking about one chemical reaction. These are chemical equations that are summarising a whole process. So they're not telling the whole story, but they're giving us a really good summary of what's going on. So you've got word equations and balance symbol equations. The reactants of our of aerobic cellular respiration are oxygen and glucose. And in a balance symbol equation, we represent those like this. Okay, and then we have our arrows, so these react to make our products. So in our word equation, oxygen plus glucose reacts to make water and carbon dioxide. And this is how we represent our water and carbon dioxide in a balanced symbol equation. Okay, let's see if you understood that. What is the correct word summary of aerobic cellular respiration? Is it A, glucose reacts to make water plus carbon dioxide? B, glucose plus oxygen reacts to make water and carbon dioxide? C, glucose plus carbon dioxide reacts to make oxygen plus water? D, carbon dioxide plus water reacts to make glucose plus oxygen. Take 5 seconds, or if you want more time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, the correct answer is B, glucose plus oxygen reacts to make water plus carbon dioxide. Well done if you got that right. Let's have a go at another one. What is the correct balance symbol equation for aerobic cellular respiration? Take 5 seconds to read these through and pick the correct answer, or if you want some more time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, the correct answer is A. Well done if you got that right. We've looked at the equation for aerobic cellular respiration, but the point of cellular respiration is to transfer energy for life processes. So where is the energy? That's what we're going to talk about now in this section. Aerobic cellular respiration produces water and carbon dioxide as waste products. The word produce, the word create, that would be correct here because water and carbon dioxide are physical substances. They're molecules and compounds. But cellular respiration also makes a useful product called ATP. Each molecule of ATP contains 3 phosphate groups. So ATP, the A stands for adenosine, which is a compound. The T stands for tri, which is a prefix that represents the number 3. And the P is for phosphate. So we've got adenosine, we've got 3 phosphate groups all bonded together to make this compound. ATP is made during cellular respiration by adding a phosphate group to a substance called ADP. Let's look at ADP. So A, that stands for adenosine again, but this time we've got a D instead of a T. That D is for di, which is the prefix that represents the number 2. And the P again is for phosphate. So an adenosine, but with 2 phosphates attached to it this time. This is sometimes shown as part of the word equation for aerobic cellular respiration. So we can represent this happening as, so we've got oxygen plus glucose are reactants, react to make water plus carbon dioxide. But also what we have happening is we have ADP and a phosphate group. They're combining and they're creating ATP. I said we were going to talk about where the energy is in this word equation, this balanced equation we've been looking at, and so far I've just talked about this compound called ATP. We're going to talk about now what ATP has to do with energy. So ATP is a chemical store of energy. Life processes that require energy get it from this compound ATP. They do this by converting ATP back into ADP, adenosine triphosphate into adenosine diphosphate. So ATP is broken down into ADP and a phosphate group. That phosphate goes and bonds to another molecule, and energy is transferred from the ATP to the life process that needs it, such as muscular contraction or active transport. So we've made ADP. That ADP isn't useless. This ADP is then made back into ATP during cellular respiration. So in cellular respiration, energy is transferred from glucose to bond a phosphate back onto ADP, turning it into ATP. Let's summarise that quickly. When a life process needs energy to occur, ATP is broken down into ADP and phosphate. When that phosphate bonds to another molecule, energy is transferred from the ATP to the life process that required energy to occur. ADP is recycled and turned back into ATP during cellular respiration. Energy transferred from glucose bonds the phosphate back to an ADP, creating ATP. So ATP is continuously recycled to provide energy for life processes. Let's check to see if you understood that. Who is correct? Andeep, Izzy, or Laura? Andeep thinks water and carbon dioxide are the only products of aerobic cellular respiration. Izzy thinks ATP is also made during aerobic cellular respiration. It's a chemical store of energy. Laura thinks aerobic cellular respiration makes ADP, which transfers the energy for life processes. Take 5 seconds to think about your answer, or click pause if you want more time. Click play when you're ready to see the answer. It is Izzy who is correct. ATP is also made during aerobic cellular respiration. It's a chemical store of energy. Well done if you got that right. Now let's talk about where aerobic cellular respiration occurs. In eukaryotic cells, aerobic cellular respiration happens in the mitochondria. I've got 3 different eukaryotic cells here. Can you tell me the name of each of these types of cells? So take 5 seconds or pause the video if you want some more thinking time. Click play when you're ready to see the answer. Okay, our first one is an animal cell. You can tell that because it's just got a cell membrane. Our next one is a plant cell. You could have figured that out by looking. It's got a cell membrane, a cell wall, it's got a vacuole, and it's also got chloroplasts. Our last one is a fungal cell. It's got a cell wall, it's got a cell membrane, but it doesn't have any chloroplasts. So, in these eukaryotic cells, cellular respiration takes place in their mitochondria. Let's look at cellular respiration in the context of the mitochondria. So glucose is broken down, the products of glucose enter the mitochondria. Got oxygen is used, and energy is transferred for life processes. Carbon dioxide and water are made as waste products. And the inside of the mitochondria contains enzymes that catalyze the chemical reactions that are taking place here. Powerful microscopes have enabled us to observe the inside of mitochondria. There are many folds of membrane inside mitochondria, and the chemical reactions of aerobic cellular respiration occur across these membranes. The folds increase the surface area, therefore increasing the rate of aerobic cellular respiration. And here we have is a photo of mitochondria observed using an electron microscope. Prokaryotic cells, including bacteria, don't contain mitochondria. They're too small. Mitochondria are bigger than prokaryotes, so they can't fit inside them. But some prokaryotes do still carry out aerobic cellular respiration. And in these cells, aerobic cellular respiration, well, it can't occur in the mitochondria, it doesn't have any mitochondria. It occurs in the cytoplasm and across the cell membrane of these cells. Okay, let's see if you understood that. True or false? Aerobic cellular respiration takes place in the mitochondria of bacterial cells. Is that true or is that false? Take 5 seconds, or if you want more time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. That is false. But why is it false? Take 5 seconds, or again, if you want some more thinking time, click pause, click play when you're ready to see the answer. It's false because bacteria do not contain mitochondria. They do carry out aerobic cellular respiration, but they do this in their cytoplasm and across their cell membrane. Well done if you got that right. This is the last practice task for today's lesson. Answer the questions and complete the task below. 1. Write a definition of cellular respiration. 2. Describe the importance of cellular respiration to living organisms. 3. The following question is about summarising aerobic cellular respiration. A. State the word equation for aerobic cellular respiration. B. State the balanced symbol equation for aerobic cellular respiration. Number 4. For the following example, state which part of the cell aerobic cellular respiration occurs in. So A. A plant cell. B. A yeast cell. C. An animal cell. D. A bacterial cell. You'll need to pause now to give yourself enough time to think about your answer and write it down. Click play when you're ready to see the answers. Good luck. Let's have a look at the answers. Number 1, write a definition of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is an exothermic chemical process that uses glucose as a fuel to transfer energy for life processes. Number 2, describe the importance of cellular respiration to living organisms. Cellular respiration transfers all the energy an organism needs to carry out life processes, including active transport and metabolism. 3a, state the word equation for aerobic cellular respiration. Oxygen plus glucose reacts to make water plus carbon dioxide. 3b, state the balanced symbol equation for aerobic cellular respiration. Okay, here it is. I'll give you a few seconds to check that your answer is the same as that answer. For the following examples, state which part of the cell aerobic cellular respiration occurs in. So for A, B, and C, they all have the same answer. They all occur in the mitochondria because they're eukaryotes. A bacterial cell is a prokaryote, doesn't have any mitochondria, so aerobic cellular respiration occurs in the cytoplasm and across the cell membrane. Well done if you got those right. Right, final question in our task. Question number 5. Mitochondria were discovered in muscle cells in 1857. Muscle cells have many more mitochondria than skin cells. Explain why. So, again, you'll need to pause the video to give yourself enough time to think about that and write down your answer. Click play when you're ready to see the answers. Good luck. Let's have a look at the answer. Muscle cells need energy to contract. This energy is transferred by cellular respiration. Having more mitochondria means more aerobic cellular respiration can take place, which transfers more energy for muscle contraction. Well done if you got that right. Amazing work today. Hope you enjoyed learning about aerobic cellular respiration. Let's summarise what we've learned to help us remember it. Cellular respiration is an exothermic chemical process that transfers energy for life processes using glucose as a fuel. Aerobic cellular respiration requires oxygen. Aerobic cellular respiration can be summarised in the following ways. Here's the word equation. Oxygen plus glucose reacts to make water plus carbon dioxide. And beneath it we have the balanced symbol equation. I'll give you a few seconds to read that through for yourselves. Cellular respiration makes ATP, which is a chemical store of energy in cells. In eukaryotic cells, aerobic cellular respiration occurs in the mitochondria, and in prokaryotic cells, aerobic cellular respiration occurs in the cytoplasm and across the cell membrane. Well done on today's lesson, and I hope to see you again soon for our next lesson.